Considering Yuji Itadori is the main character of a shonen manga, there doesn't seem to be all that much special about him, other than him being the 1 in a million perfect vessel for the King of Curses. Oh, and the main villain is his mother. You know what? Maybe Yuji kinda is a big deal. Today, let's discuss everything we know about the Itadori family and try to piece together this crazy puzzle, starting with Wasuke Itadori, because this is about the only W you're gonna find in this family. Trust me, they are screwed. This is Itadori's grandpa, the very same that gave Yuji his purpose of protecting people in chapter 1. He may have been short-tempered, but he was still a selfless guy who raised Yuji to be the man we know today. His stubbornness, however, led to him dying with only Yuji by his side, making him tell his grandson not to die alone. Prior to his death in the hospital though, he asks Yuji if he wants to learn the truth behind his parents. However, he refuses to hear it. In spite of this, Wasuke tells Yuji that he's a strong kid. Now, did he know just exactly how strong? Well, to be honest, yeah, probably. And the reason we can presume this is by taking a further look into Yuji's parents, the ones he clearly has no interest in knowing anything about. And for good reason. Firstly, there's Jin, Yuji's father, who, bless him, he clearly loved Yuji and would do anything to give him a happy life, which is odd considering Yuji wants nothing to do with him. There's also the fact that when Wasuke warns his son about the woman he is with as she will kill him, Jin says not to say such things in front of Yuji as babies remember more than they think, which again, odd as Yuji doesn't remember any of it. However, to understand why this may be the case, we need to look into Yuji's secret power, memory manipulation. Alongside Yuji's ability to swap souls, which I'll get into in just a moment, he can also alter a person's memory. We see this against Choso. He straight up implanted a false memory in the head of Choso without realizing, to the point where even Sukuna was watching on like, hey ho, what is going on? And let's not forget that he also made Todo believe that he was his best of friend though as well. Thus, I think it's worth considering the possibility that Yuji may have actually wiped his own memory. Now, why would he want to do this? Well, that's the obvious part. Yuji's childhood was effed up, and we know that because of his mother Kaori. You see, she was already dead by the time Yuji was conceived. How does that work? Well, it doesn't, or at least it shouldn't. Wasuke tried warning his son about the dangers of Kaori, stating that despite it being his dream to have a child with her, it's not possible. In spite of this, Jin, blinded by love, looked past any form of reason or logic when his lover stood before him, alive with stitches across her head. Now, these stitches of course confirmed to us that yes, it was indeed Kenjaku all along who had taken over Kaori's dead body and continued living in her footsteps. The question, however, is why? Looking at Kenjaku's other vessels, there's rhyme and reason to it. Suguru Geto for his bond with Gojo and his cursed spirit manipulation. Noritoshi Kamo, known to the world as the most evil sorcerer of all time, and then just some random NPC mother? Yes, her anti-gravity curse technique ended up coming in handy against Yuki, but that doesn't really seem like it's worth getting raw dogged for, personally. Clearly, there was something much more desirable in the Itadori family that Kenjaku wanted. Something that was worth giving birth for. That something is the fact that Yuji is Sukuna's brother. Okay, maybe not like exactly, but some form of descendant. And there's a lot of legitimacy to this claim. For one, let's be honest, they do look pretty similar. Obviously, when Yuji ingests the finger, it makes sense why Sukuna looks just like him. However, even after reincarnating in Megumi's body and accessing his true form, he still resembles Yuji, and even more so Wasuke retaining the pink hair. That is too much of a glaring coincidence to begin with. However, we can go further by looking into the real history of Ryomen Sukuna's mythological inspirations. In the old Japanese text called the Nihon Shoki, Ryomen Sukuna killed his own brother. Now, this would also align with some of the foundations set in the world of Jujutsu Kaisen. We know that twins are frowned upon greatly. The world views them as one, and because of that, it's like a limiter is placed upon them. This means, in the case of Maki and Mai for example, due to one not not wanting to be strong, neither could the other. It wasn't until after the death of Mai that Maki finally realized her true strength. A similar theory regarding Sukuna is thrown around, that he killed and ate his own twin brother, resulting in his appearance of 4 arms, 4 eyes, and 2 faces. Some believe that Sukuna ate his brother in the womb, which would admittedly put a little bit of a spanner in the works regarding Yuji being related to him, especially considering the guidebooks state that Sukuna has no children, lovers, or anything. In spite of this though, Sukuna opens up a whole other can of worms when he said that Yuji was from back then, and that Kenjaku does the grossest things. This all but confirms that Yuji really does have some kind of connection to Sukuna, or at least is from the same time period as him. Even if Yuji isn't entirely related by a direct bloodline to Sukuna, let's not forget that Kenjaku was keeping the original Sukuna's mummified corpse all nice and cozy. So perhaps when Sukuna says that he does the grossest things, he was referring to Kenjaku using that to help make Yuji what he is. After all, Kenjaku is responsible for Yuji's entire life ending up the way it was. Again, why would this be the case? Well, as I mentioned, hundreds of years ago, under the guise of Noritashi Kamo, Kenjaku began his journey of creating a perfect cursed womb death painting. These are ultimately Yuji's very own siblings, thus in a way a part of the extended Itadori family. You see, during the Meiji era where Noritashi Kamo was from, there was a woman with a very particular genetic composition that could birth half human, half cursed children. Heck, for all we know, Kaori could even be related to her, and that's just another reason why Kenjaku wanted her specifically. Regardless, something as rare and interesting as this piqued Kenjaku's interest. Thus, he forced the woman to bear many children just out of pure curiosity. There were 9 pregnancies in total, with 9 abortions. Tokyo Jujutsu High managed to obtain all 9 of these death painting wombs at some point, sealing them within Tengen's barrier to keep them hidden. 3 of them would be deemed to be special grades, the same 3 that Mahito subsequently stole during the Goodwill event. Those being Ezo, Kechizu, and Choso. This is why Yuji was special from the very beginning. He was never a normal human, hence how he was able to just break multiple athletic records like it was nothing during his school years. However, unlike his many brothers, Yuji was Kenjaku's magnum opus, his jackpot, his final masterpiece, if you will. Like, remember when Yuji got a little bit peckish and ate Sukuna's finger to save his life? Surely that was his decision, right? Wrong. It was all part of Kenjaku's plan. During the Culling Games, we saw Kenjaku visit an old friend of Yuji's, Sasaki. Now, if you don't remember who that is, don't worry because no one does. The point is that Kenjaku thanks her for being friends with his son, proving that he was being a good parent after all and watching over Yuji during his school years. He wanted and planned for Yuji to nibble on that finger because he was made for the purpose of being Sukuna's perfect vessel. All because he desires pure chaos that will force human evolution, and according to him, Itadori is the eye of the storm for the new age. This also explains Yuji's very unique power of swapping souls. The reason for this is the Itadori family heritage. After all, Gojo did say that 80% of your innate talent as a sorcerer comes from your genetics. Now, of course, he didn't adopt his mother's anti-gravity, because as we know, Kenjaku has the ability to swap from body to body using his brain. Now, Yuji is also able to hop from body to body just by using the soul, and this just seems to be a derivative of Kenjaku's ability. After all, one of the core messages in Jujutsu Kaisen is that the body is the soul and the soul is the body, and so they're actually extremely similar in that regard. Then there's Sukuna. Gojo already stated that Yuji would go on to inherit his curse technique, and as we are aware, Yuji was also confirmed to be a cursed object soaked in Sukuna's cursed energy. And this is where the connection to Sukuna digs deeper, as Yuji's soul swap also shares characteristics with Sukuna's ability to store his soul in cursed objects as his own means of swapping bodies, which he too learned from Kenjaku. It's thanks to him though that Yuji was more than just a vessel for Sukuna. The King of Curses even refers to him as a cage, and with the buffing power that comes with that, Choso even referred to Yuji as the demon god. Now, the fact that someone this suited to fulfilling the title of Sukuna's vessel exists is just beyond coincidence, and it's clearly the aftermath of a 1,000-year-old scheme crafted by the mastermind that is Kenjaku. Why is this the case? Well, we have to remember that Kenjaku just desires pure chaos. He's a curious mind, and I mean that in the most literal way possible. He is the embodiment of just saying, fuck it, I wonder what'll happen if I just do this. Hence why he wants to force humanity to evolve by merging all of Japan with Master Tengen and creating a massive surge in cursed energy. Now, what does Sukuna have to do with all this? Well, if it's chaos that you want, there's no one better suited than him. This is why the Itadori family is integral for his plan and why he went as far to get raw dogged by a dude. I can't believe what I'm saying. At the end of the day, this family was the only family capable of creating a 1 in 1,000 year vessel, as they are in fact linked to Sukuna and the Heian era on a biological level.